Out of President Trump promising to double tariffs on foreign steel and announcing a major deal with Japan as Elon Musk officially.
Over the weekend, Donald Trump announced a new trade deal with the European Union. It will result in a $90 billion.
These latest tariffs is to fight, is to protect, and to build. We will fight the U.S. tariffs.
In a period of unprecedented and escalating economic tension, the Canadian government, under the decisive leadership of Prime Minister Mark Carney, has launched a firm, yet carefully considered and comprehensive response to the United States' latest and most aggressive round of protectionist tariffs. Welcome viewers to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe, like my video and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next update. This monumental shift follows the U.S. imposition of new, punitive duties that directly threaten and disrupt critical Canadian industries. During a recent and widely broadcast public statement, Prime Minister Carney asserted that he would only engage in direct discussions with President Donald Trump when it makes sense, a phrase that signaled a strategic and deliberate diplomatic pause in what has historically been one of the world's most deeply integrated and cooperative economic relationships. These new tariffs, which officially went into effect on a recent Friday, have imposed a substantial 35% duty on Canadian goods that do not adhere to the strict and complex compliance standards of the Canada-United States-Mexico Agreement (CUSMA). For the vital and foundational sectors of steel, aluminum, and copper, the tariff rate has been levied at an even more punishing 50%, a clear and unequivocal attempt to disrupt and reorient these specific supply chains. This overtly aggressive protectionist maneuver by the U.S. has not only significantly fractured established and long-standing supply chains but has also thrust Canada into a difficult and uncomfortable position, forcing a fundamental and immediate re-evaluation of its long-standing economic strategy. The government is now publicly and overtly demonstrating a clear and intentional shift from a position of historical dependence on its southern neighbor to a more diversified, resilient, and globally assertive approach to international trade. Despite the immediate and tangible financial strain of these new duties, Prime Minister Carney was deliberate in his effort to offer a broader, more nuanced, and long-term perspective during his press conference, which was held in West Kelowna, BC. He was careful to point out that a vast majority, approximately 85%, of the massive and complex trade volume between the two nations remains, for the moment, completely tariff-free. This specific statistic, while providing a degree of reassurance and stability to the broader markets, does not in any way diminish the profound financial hardship and palpable uncertainty being endured by the specific industries and individual workers who have been most directly and severely affected by the new duties. The impending mandatory review of CUSMA, which is officially scheduled to take place next year, adds another critical layer of suspense and ambiguity to the already strained situation. The ultimate outcome of that review will likely determine the long-term viability and foundational structure of the entire North American trade framework. However, in the interim, Canada is not simply waiting for the review to occur. The government is taking proactive, decisive, and multifaceted steps to safeguard its economic interests, to provide crucial support to its affected businesses, and to firmly demonstrate its resilience and independence in the face of what it views as a capricious and unjustified act of unilateral U.S. protectionism. A strategic rebuttal, debunking U.S. justifications and highlighting the mutually beneficial partnership. Prime Minister Carney's press conference, which was originally convened and intended to discuss government support for the hard-hit Canadian softwood lumber industry, quickly transformed into a much broader and more significant platform to address the full scope and complexity of the entire Canada-U.S. economic relationship. He seized this pivotal moment to highlight a key, and often overlooked, fact of their deeply intertwined relationship. Canada is, in fact, the world's second-largest investor in the United States. This substantial and deeply integrated investment is not merely a passive figure on a corporate balance sheet. It translates directly and tangibly into the creation and ongoing support of hundreds of thousands of American jobs across a diverse and wide range of industries, from advanced manufacturing to cutting-edge technology. Carney used this powerful point to issue a clear and direct warning that a continued lack of a stable, predictable, and fair trade agreement would inevitably lead to a direct and significant decrease in this vital Canadian investment. Without an agreement, there will be less by definition, he stated, making a compelling case that the U.S. is actively and knowingly risking its own economic prosperity and long-term stability by undermining a deeply integrated, mutually beneficial, and historic partnership. Furthermore, Carney took the opportunity to directly challenge and discredit one of President Trump's primary and publicly stated justifications for the tariffs, the unsubstantiated and misleading claim that they are a necessary measure to curb the flow of illicit fentanyl from Canada into the U.S. He meticulously dismissed the amount of fentanyl seized at the Canadian border as a mere rounding error, when put into the stark perspective of the massive over 4,000 kilograms of the drug that have been officially confiscated at the U.S.-Mexico border. By presenting this official and verifiable data, the Canadian government is seeking to publicly expose the tariffs for what it believes they truly are, not a legitimate and justifiable security measure, but a purely political and economic tactic designed to pressure and punish Canada. This direct and public refutation aims to strip the U.S. tariffs of their moral and security-based rationale, forcing the entire conversation back to the purely economic terms and fundamental realities of trade. Forging a new path with Mexico, a clear pivot to strategic alliances. In what is perhaps the clearest and most decisive response to the U.S.'s increasingly unpredictable and protectionist posture, Canada is now actively and publicly pursuing a robust strategy of trade diversification and the forging of new, more dependable alliances. This strategy is being executed by a high-level diplomatic delegation, which recently included Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne and Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand, who completed a significant and highly symbolic visit to Mexico to meet with President Claudia Sheinbaum. This high-level delegation underscores a significant strategic pivot for Canada, as it actively seeks stability and reliability in its trade partners amidst the volatile and unpredictable relationship with the U.S. As Finance Minister Champagne stated, this is a core component of a broader, more comprehensive plan to forge closer and more dependable partnerships with countries we can trust. The message is unambiguous and a direct rebuke of the U.S. Canada will not allow its economic future and prosperity to be held hostage by the unpredictable and unilateral policies of a single trading partner, no matter how economically powerful. The timing of this high-profile visit is particularly poignant and telling, as Mexico was previously granted a 90-day reprieve from the higher U.S. levies, a courtesy and exemption that was pointedly not extended to Canada. This differential treatment by the U.S. further motivates Canada to deepen and strengthen its already significant relationship with Mexico, which currently serves as its third-largest single-country trading partner. The two countries share extensive, deeply integrated, and complex trade ties, especially within the automotive industry, which alone accounts for a substantial portion of their bilateral trade. The North American automotive supply chain is a complex and intricate web spanning all three nations. And President Trump has repeatedly and publicly stated his desire to bring all auto manufacturing back to the U.S. This shared vulnerability and a common threat to their automotive sectors have fostered a newfound sense of common purpose, pushing Canada and Mexico to work more closely and collaboratively together to protect their collective interests in the intricate supply chain that sustains the entire industry. Beyond the critical automotive sector, Mexico is a crucial and expanding partner for a wide range of other commodities. Canada imports a variety of essential goods from its southern neighbor, including tropical fruits, broadcast equipment, and medical devices, while exporting a diverse array of its own products, such as oil and gas, steel, and aluminum. The recent visit by Canadian officials included a series of highly productive meetings with both Mexican and Canadian business leaders from a diverse and wide array of sectors, including banking, mining, aerospace, and agri-food. This broad-based and strategic engagement signals a mutual and growing commitment to a collaborative, resilient, and robust economic future that is less dependent on the whims of the U.S. While past suggestions, such as Ontario Premier Doug Ford's call for a bilateral U.S.-Canada deal, have surfaced and gained some traction, the current and decisive actions by the Canadian federal government show a clear and strategic move towards strengthening a broader North American partnership that can, when necessary, strategically bypass the U.S., as they chart a new and more reliable path forward with partners they know they can rely on for the long